Welcome to the first episode, the pilot episode of Sheep Stuff You Should Know, starring Dan Macon.
And Ryan Mahoney.
Yes. So why don't we just start off with why are we here? What's the purpose of this venture into sheepdom in California here, Dan? Why are you inspired to start a podcast to talk about sheep and sheep ranching?
So why this will be great editing here.
You're gonna have some practice. This will be fun. It's all right. It's a pilot. It doesn't
That's
matter.
right.
It can
That's
be
right.
it can be rough. We're learning. It's
That's
all
right.
learning.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So the other reason I think bottom line for me is that I rarely have anything going on at 1:30 Wednesday afternoons, and so it seemed like I needed to fill that time frame, and what better way to do it than to talk about sheep with you?
Right? Yeah, no, that definitely is my main motivation is to fill. I have nothing to do anymore. We're on quarantine. We've got all stay-at-home orders, so why not sit at home and talk sheep and hopefully try to go on some good tangents. So.
Absolutely. And I think the other thing for me that's interesting in this, Ryan, is that we have very different operations, but we're also very curious about the huge variety of models for raising sheep in California and around the world. And I think I'm going to learn a lot from you and from other folks that we talk to doing this.
Yeah, for me, I'm really excited just to be able to talk about things and I'm excited to do this because I know you're very inquisitive and like asking lots of questions and I like answering questions and I do like listening sometimes too, but I really am excited to kind of go down these paths and explore some topics and kind of create a template here where people can go and ask questions, learn a thing or two, and really just kind of get into the things that are on my mind. I learned by thinking and talking, and so this is a good opportunity to do that. Why don't you want to talk a little bit about Flying Mule? Or
Yeah, sure. So we have my wife and I have raised sheep since she was in vet school, which to give you some sense of how long ago that was, I had hair when she was in vet school. But we started really small. Just we knew we wanted to raise some livestock and we liked eating lamb, and so we started raising lamb for ourselves, and we'd always buy 4 or 5 at a time just so we could raise them for family members and fill our freezer for free. And about 15 years ago, we decided we wanted to make it a little more of a commercial enterprise. And so we were living in Auburn, where we live now, and had some access to grazing land in the foothills here and decided we'd jump into sheep. Bought 12 Barbados wethers, 2 of which proceeded to jump out of the truck and disappear, never to be seen again. And we brought them home and decided at that point that probably hair sheep and Barbados in particular were not where we wanted to go. We focused initially on doing a lot of direct marketing. I sold lamb for 6 or 7 years at farmers markets and to restaurants here in the foothills and up in Tahoe, and got to the drought in 2013 and decided that we needed to make some differences in what we were doing. So today our operation has evolved where we're running right at 100 ewes, almost entirely on leased land or on land that we have access to for free. Within about 7 miles here of the house. And we market all of our lambs at weaning, mostly to ethnic markets, but we don't do the marketing. We just sell them to somebody that does the direct marketing for us now. So do a lot of grazing for fuel reduction up here in the foothills. And so we do a fair bit of targeted grazing in the summertime. And we also do a lot of outreach and teaching with our sheep. I also, in my day job, I'm a extension agent here covering 4 counties. And so we use our sheep for research and teaching purposes as well. Yeah. How about
In
you?
your in
What,
your extension, I one follow-up question there on your extension
yeah.
is, are you just exclusively sheep or do you cross into other commodities as well?
So I am the livestock and natural resources advisor for Placer, Nevada, and Sutter and Yuba counties. So kind of the central foothills, central Sacramento Valley. And I cover all livestock species, but in our part of the world, that's mostly cattle, sheep, and goats. Um, some interest in pigs and some in poultry, but my expertise is more on ruminants. So I really focus on cattle and sheep mostly. And then I also do a fair bit of work on range and pasture management. So helping people understand forage production and pasture management and water quality issues associated with irrigated pasture. It's a pretty cool gig.
Yeah, diverse.
Yeah, no
Yeah,
time to get bored.
yeah, right. Well, you got Wednesday afternoons.
That's right. That's right. And now we're filling that, so I'm good to go.
Yeah, you're full schedule.
So tell me about Amy Livestock. What all do you do and why are you there?
Yeah, so I own and operate RME Livestock. We're based out of Rio Vista, California, in Solano County, and we are a fifth generation. I'm the fifth generation of my family to operate. My parents live on the home ranch. I was raised on the home ranch that was settled by my great grandfather in 1877.
Wow.
And got 3 kids now, and some days they're very excited to help and work, and a lot of days they're not. But yeah, we run Amy Livestock, and we got a pretty big staff. I think I have about 24, 25 guys working for me right now.
Wow.
We run around 4,000 breeding ewes. We run them on native hills, and then we'll wean the lambs, take the lambs to irrigated clover pastures, raise those, and send a portion of them to town as grass finished product. And then we also operate a feedlot right next to Superior Farms Dixon, and we finish lambs in there. So we're fairly diverse, fairly unique in the sheep industry as far as how we're positioned. We also raise a lot of beef cows and background stocker cattle on our irrigated pasture as well. So we have a pretty diverse operation. I was really fortunate where when I started with the company, I graduated from St. Mary's College, and then I went to work for my grandpa. And then over time was able to here, I think last August of 19 is when I ended up buying the company from him. So, it was pretty neat to know that there's a future, and we've successfully transitioned generationally. And it's really exciting for everybody in the company, me as well. Heck of an opportunity, heck of a lot of liability, but very good for everybody involved. So my day to day is I wish it was all sheep all the time, but it seems like as I get older, I spend more and more time in the office than I do out in the field, but I try to be very hands on, and yeah, it's good. So that's kind of generally what we do in a Reader's Digest version.
So a question that occurs to me, because I've worked with a number of families throughout my career that have tried to make that transition. How long did that transition take from the point where you started talking about it to the point where you actually bought the company?
That's a good question. It took I would say 5 years.
Wow.
And it was a very intense, very emotional process for everybody involved. And there's you go into something like that, emotions run high, pride runs thick, and I'm criticizing myself when I say that. I'm not blaming anybody else, but at the end of the day, it's such a necessary process. And if it's very important to do. Well, everybody is capable and here and able to share their opinions and voices. And you learn a lot about yourself. You learn a lot about, the importance of being humble, being appreciative of the opportunities you've been given, to not be upset over what you perceive as an unfairness, and realize that, there's going to be give and take. There's going to be things happen. And so just to go in with the honesty and openness as a family that, at the end of this, we need to still be family, I think is really important. And it's really hard to do. I mean, it's very easy to say, but it's very, very difficult to do, but very important, I think, for everybody involved in whatever family business you're in. It's really important that you do that hard work and you get through it, because at the end of the day, it really helps everybody be successful in the family, not just one person or two people. It's really important to go through it. So yeah, I don't, that's not really advice other than just, bite your teeth and get into it, I guess.
And it is hard work. It's very hard work.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
And it's difficult, but necessary. So.
Yeah, absolutely. So you had mentioned your family and your kids in particular, which made me realize I forgot to mention mine. And we've got 2 kids. My oldest daughter is a senior at Montana State, studying range. And it's interesting, when she was maybe a junior in high school, both girls, kind of like your kids, are occasionally enthusiastic about helping with the sheep, and other times less so. And I asked her when she was a junior if she thought she'd want to raise sheep when she was an adult. She said, I kind of like them. I'd probably have a few around, but I don't want this many. And she just got hired for the summer, and then for her first career job out when she's done with college next fall, at the U.S. Sheep Station in Du Bois, Idaho. And
there's a few more sheep up there.
There's a few more sheep than I have up there, so she's pretty excited about it. And you don't know where that seed's going to germinate,
Yeah. Yeah, it's fun. It's fun to see the kids grow up. I mean, my oldest is only 10, but near the last couple of years, or last year really, she's really taken a passion and wants to become a vet. She really wants to be a small animal vet. And I made her a deal that I'll pay for vet school if she does some free vet work for us on the side. So she has to take some large animal classes, how to preg check cows or some things like that. But, but yeah, it's kind of cool to see them. You plant these seeds and you never know when they're going to take. Even myself, I didn't want to come back to the ranch. I went to college to play football. And then I ended up I got my major. My degree is in religious studies, my Bachelor of Arts in religious studies. And basically my grandpa and mom sat me down my junior year and gave me a job offer. And I had this giant stack of job offers as a religious studies major, and I started going through them all and realized that none of them paid. So I decided I'd take that job, and I'm glad I did. It's amazing how life turns. And
it is. It very definitely is. Our youngest is a junior in high school. Of course, she's at home right now, like all of us are. But it's been interesting to kind of see how different each kid is when they approach the work that we're doing at the ranch, and kind of the questions they ask as they get older. And I think maybe I'll suggest that religious studies could be her future course of study.
Yes, so don't ever be afraid of what they choose, because you never know.
That's right.
Yeah,
exactly right.
That's good. Well, one thing I wanted to ask you about is you got the California ram sales coming up, and it is going to be online for the first time ever. And I'm just curious what, Dan Macon, president of the California Wool Growers Association.
Oh yeah.
What do you think about that? How are you excited? You nervous? What's your take on that?
The short answer to both those questions is yes. This is the 100th annual California Ram Sale this year, which is remarkable when you think about longevity and how long this industry's been a part of California's landscapes and economy and everything else. And I think, going into it, we had planned a huge celebration in Porterville where we've held the sale the last several years, really to focus on celebrating how long we've been doing this and the future of the sheep industry. In March, the entire world changed for all of us. And I saw somebody said March seemed like it lasted about 3 years, which it sure felt like that way to me. We came to the conclusion that it would be a good idea not to gather folks together in a small place to buy rams, and that there were some other opportunities to make rams accessible. I should really call out folks on our ram sale committee, and in particular some of the consigners whose families have brought rams to California for multiple generations, for really focusing on trying to make this work. The Shepherd family in Utah in particular has really stepped up. Dr. Wes Patton, who used to be at Chico State, is our ram sale committee chairman. And I think we're going to try to make this work. I think the first year doing anything is challenging. Change can be a challenge in our industry, which don't fall out of your chair. I know that's a shock, but I think sometimes necessity, as the saying goes, is the mother of invention. And I think this is something we've needed to try for a long time, and now we're actually going to try it.
Yeah, would you have any ideas, or has there been any discussion about the potential to offer some of these, virtually offer the sale next year when you do have it in person down in Porterville, to be able to incorporate some kinds of online bidding or online viewing or those kind of adaptions?
Yeah, there has been some discussion about that. The company that manages our sale has that capability. And, I think that's really an important thing to think about doing. I think it's going to force us to figure it out this year, but I think we'll really expand our audience if we can do more of this. And I think it really increases the exposure that we can give folks who are consigning rams to our sale. And I think while we're all nervous about new things, I'm really excited that we're going to try this and figure out how to make it work and expand on it in coming years.
Yeah, I'm excited as a buyer. I'm excited to see it go. I'm always disappointed when the big parties don't happen, because I like the free lamb chops, especially when I don't buy rams. And I really like the free lamb chops. But it's good. It's always good to get down there and get with people, and that's one cool thing about this industry. Is that the people are just one of a kind, and it's such a joy to be able to visit with them and see those just hardworking, honest American families really hard at it, producing such a great product. And it's really, I'm going to miss it this year, but at the same time, I'm really excited for the opportunities to do this online, because it just opens up your audience. It opens up more buyers potentially. And it's a good thing. I think long-term, it's a good thing. And I know this, because it's such a weird year, I've talked to a couple of different ram producers have called me and told me that about the sale and let me know some are going to be there, some aren't going to be there because of logistics and things. And
yeah.
And so to me, it's the most important thing we need to do is just make sure that everybody that needs rams has a way to get them. So when the sale's over, I'm sure there'll be avenues and outlets for people to make direct contacts to some people and try to get rams sold. So it's going to be a lot of different than past years, but hopefully more fruitful long term.
Yeah, I agree. And I think you said something else there that's kind of a bigger issue and a question I would pose to you. I think as we've had this shelter at home order from the state and we've thought about social distancing and the things that we can do in response to this virus, I imagine your sheep all went on vacation as soon as that order went out and nobody needed to care for them. And
yeah, we just turned them out into, green pastures with no fences, and everything's probably healthy and alive. No, you know 100%. This is farming is essential. I had a great discussion with my wife last night about the definition of essential work, and she's a teacher, excellent teacher, and really proud of the work she does and what she does for the kids. But you look at the education profession versus agriculture, and then in this response you're forced to really weight what is essential. And there's a lot of debate in the gray area. I mean, California, I think they said marijuana shops are essential. Well, in my definition, I don't think they are. But they make sure you sell all the tobacco, cigarettes, and marijuana and alcohol to everybody. Keep those open. But to pull back and really look at what runs an economy, and in the case of like this pandemic, I mean, these healthcare workers are just really putting themselves out there, and I think I can relate to it from a livestock side, because when you have animals starting to get sick and you can't do anything about it because it's a virus, it's something that's you have rotacorona ripping through some lambs, or you have coccidiosis getting into a bunch of sheep, and there literally is nothing you can do, and you're accustomed to very few dead animals, and all of a sudden you get this one instance where you go out there and there's 5 or 6. I mean, it breaks you as a person. It hurts as a person. And when you take that and you apply that to these hospitals that get overrun with patients, and they're going where they're having 20, 30 people die in a night in one hospital, it's so heartbreaking to me. And my heart goes out to those people, and I'm so thankful to have them as part of our essential workforce. And we were able to donate 1,000 of the N95 masks. We had them because of one of the California laws required us to have them on staff. We were able to give those to a hospital, help some people out, just to give these doctors and nurses some confidence that we care. And it's amazing, the definition of, I guess, to get back to your original question, the definition of essential work is a really important thing to kind of think on and realize, what it really takes to keep people alive versus what it takes to keep people comfortable.
Yeah. It's interesting that as you're talking too, the thing that is striking to me is that we're most of us, I think, taking this idea of social distancing pretty seriously. We are at home, and what, when we go out and how we go out. And most of my work with the number of sheep that we have is one person doing the work. And so I think that's part of it for us. But even in our need to distance ourselves, it seems like community has never been more important than in a time like this. And so what you guys have done, making those kinds of donations and supporting your community, I think we're all finding ways to kind of build on community right now, which I think is really important in a time like this too.
Yeah, with their kids being home, my wife and I, we've made a really big point on trying to find opportunities to serve and help those in need. There's so many opportunities now even if it's just bringing a dozen eggs to a neighbor, or little things like that, there's so many opportunities now to build a community that's in isolation. Everybody is suffering, but we're all in this together, and together we'll get through it. So one other question to jump back to those video sales at Western Video Market. They offered some lambs here for the first time. I guess they've done it 3 times before, but some California lambs here a month ago, and it looks like some more are coming up in this next April sale. That's kind of a neat development. What do you think about that?
I think that's really exciting. We've talked with the folks at Western Video about it, and I think it's really encouraging to see an outfit like that take an interest in our industry and in the opportunities that exist. And it's also exciting. I talked to a fellow friend yesterday about the last video sale, and he was really excited about it and had already committed some loads to this next sale in April. And I actually grew up in the auction business. I'm the third generation in my family to have gone to auction school, and I'm a auction believer genetically, I think. But when you get folks competing for what we're trying to sell, I think it really helps you establish the true value of what those lambs are worth, and I think that's an exciting move in our industry. You kind of are on both sides of that. How do you feel about that development, Ryan?
Yeah, I think it's great. I think it's good for the industry to have kind of those templates that allow kind of real price discovery. And I think that's what you get in that kind of a setting. As some of those lambs that sold, I don't think some of those buyers may have not had an opportunity to buy them without that video sale. So it's it's pretty good in that sense, because it has opened up the opportunities to some people. Now, this next sale coming up, we have all this Corona stuff that just happened, plus plenty of other industry things going on that really are, it's going to be really interesting to see how that all materializes over the next week or so, because, it could potentially be substantially lower. So we'll have to see how that all goes. And I'm always split whenever I look at those things, because I'm a buyer when I buy feeder lambs, but I'm also a seller and I'm a ewe producer. So I have multiple hats on. I like to see value realized at that ewe stage, at the producer stage, because that's the engine that drives the consumer pays the bills, but the producer produces the product. And so really there's two drivers there that really need to complement each other, and you do that through price discovery. So I'm excited about it. I'm excited about it. So.
But I have a question for you, and it's totally superficial, but what wool are you wearing today?
I am wearing Icebreaker Merino base layer, New Zealand Merino wool. So it's Australian and New Zealand Merino wool. So it's not American. Apologize, but it is wool.
But it is wool.
Yeah. What about you? Got any wool on today?
I do. I've got some foreign wool. I've got a smart wool vest on, and then I always wear either Darn Tough or Farm to Feet socks, because it's American wool and guaranteed. I've worn holes in my socks, and they send me a new pair, so I figure that's a good deal.
I almost forgot. I am sitting on an American lamb pelt.
Oh, very nice.
So I do got for sale through California Wool Growers Association. So
thank you for the plug.
That one is purchased from the wool growers, but yeah, I have those on all my seats everywhere.
I think I'm going to have, now that I'm working at home, this chair needs one of those. So
right.
Yeah, I'll have to upgrade.
Yeah. I guess I got one last question. I wanted to kind of ask to kind of wrap up this episode. Well, two things. First thing is I want to ask this question. Second thing is I want to maybe give a preview of what this format's going to look like going forward for anybody who took the time to hear our banter. But my first question is, do you have any good inspirational people or stories about a sheep rancher in California? Someone that's kind of inspired you, or a story you really enjoy listening to or hearing? What's kind of an inspiring California American sheep producer story?
Oh boy, that's a good question. That's a really
Don't ask me that question. I don't have an answer.
It would be hard for me to single out just one. I think part of what I love about this industry are the stories that people have about it. And sometimes those stories only come out over a meal or sitting around a campfire at sheep camp, or pushing sheep up into the shearing shed or something like that. I think this is such a hands-on industry that we work by ourselves so often. When we do have occasions to work together, those stories are part of the enjoyment I get from working together. And I maybe offer two examples of folks that I've learned a lot from in those kind of contexts. Um, One would be Emilio Huarte, who works for Talbot Sheep Company down in Los Banos. And I spent the part of the summer off and on up in their sheep camps up north of Lake Tahoe this last year doing some research on guard dog behavior. And just being able to be around Emilio or Chooch, as he's known, and kind of talking people that we both know and people that he's known all his life, and hearing those stories, I think was just really enjoyable to me. I think the other thing that's been interesting, not necessarily sheep people, but a lot of the old timers here in Auburn that I lease pasture from, their families all started out with sheep, and they went to cattle for a variety of reasons. And they were so excited to have sheep back on their place when we leased their places. And I think just hearing those stories about what things were like in the 1920s and 1930s, either directly from their experience or through stories that they'd heard in their families, really gave me a sense of this place and kind of how sheep have been a part of this place for a long, long time. Good question. Really good question. I'll have to think on that one some more. And you're going to get asked that at some future episode of this.
Yeah, I think we'll do an episode on it or something.
Yeah.
There's so many. I really appreciate your answer and how it's very true. It's hard to single out one.
Yeah.
Kind of get one story because they're just. I think what I like the most about the industry and the inspirational people are the amount of stories of self-made individuals who did it through kind of hard work, creativity, and true love and passion for their animals. I mean, just the sheep men that built the industry, they really do and did care for their animals. And it was, you put that, the sheep are so sensitive that if you try to ignore them or, not take care of them and just try to look at them as a price tag commodity, they hurt you so bad so quickly. And with the sheep, you have to pay real close attention. You have to truly care if you're going to do it, because it's really hard work. And, like I said, they're unforgiving, they're sensitive, they'll turn body condition in 2 days where it takes a cow 10. On some kind of conditional thing. And so I love those kind of stories like that.
Yep.
I look forward to that episode. That'll be
I do too.
All right.
So what do you envision for the future of this, Ryan? What's your thoughts?
So I got my yellow pad here with all my notes on it, but no, I think what we're going to do going forward is one of us will prepare a topic and basically ask questions and kind of semi-interview, but bounce ideas off of it. It can, any kind of topic, any way, shape, or form related to sheep. It can be as completely unrelated to sheep other than a U-pun if you really wanted. But, it's something to do with sheep, and we'll just bring the topic. We'll check in a little bit for a couple minutes, and then basically one will interview the other and answer the best, and we'll just kind of see where it takes us. So that's kind of what I think. You got anything to add on that, or?
No, I think that's my vision for it too. I think it would be great if anybody besides your wife and my wife ever sees this, to get people to ask us questions about things too. I think it'd be really cool to get some topics suggested to us by folks that are interested in sheep and farming and ranching in general. So I hope folks will weigh in with some of those questions at some point too.
Yeah, absolutely. Being able to maybe like at the end or something, we can go over a question, answer a question, or however, even take questions and turn them into topics for the next time or things like that. 'Cause as much as I'm excited to learn from this, I'm excited to share and talk out issues between us, because I don't have answers. I have questions, and I can ask you and you can ask me, and there's a lot of discovery that happens in asking questions. So quite excited and looking forward to it.
Me too.
All right. Next Wednesday?
Next Wednesday.
All right. You're on.
Have a great week. Enjoy this rain.
You too, Dan. Stay safe.
You too. Thanks,
Take care.
Ryan.